Welcome back to ABC General Hospital Spoilers channel. Today we will learn about the shocking developments surrounding Willow Kane's increasingly dangerous behavior and the potential threat she poses to Jacinda Bracken in the coming episodes. The situation in Port Charles has taken a dramatically sinister turn, as recent General Hospital spoilers suggest that Willow Kane's downward spiral into darkness may be far from over. In what could become one of the most chilling storylines of the season, insiders hint that Jacinda Bracken might be stepping directly into Willow's crosshairs, with potentially catastrophic consequences for everyone involved. The question that's haunting fans and characters alike is whether Willow has reached a point where she views Jacinda as an intolerable threat to her position in Wiley Corinthos and Amelia Corinthos' lives, and more importantly, whether she's willing to take drastic action to eliminate that perceived threat. Willow's descent into chaos. Willow's behavioral transformation has been nothing short of shocking for longtime General Hospital viewers who remember her as the sweet, caring teacher who first arrived in Port Charles. Her recent actions have demonstrated a complete abandonment of moral boundaries. And the terrifying reality is that there seems to be no indication she's planning to pump the brakes anytime soon. On the contrary, every successful manipulation and every crime she manages to evade punishment for only seems to embolden her further, creating a dangerous feedback loop where her sense of invincibility grows stronger with each passing day. The pattern is undeniable and deeply disturbing. Willow has crossed lines that most people couldn't even imagine approaching, and she's done so with a calculated precision that speaks to either a complete psychological break or a level of cold-blooded determination. That's equally frightening. What makes her current trajectory even more alarming is that she's demonstrated an ability to hide her true nature behind a carefully constructed facade of innocence and victimhood, fooling nearly everyone around her. The Drew Kane attacks. The evidence of Willow's capacity for violence is already well documented in Port Charles, though tragically, the justice system failed to hold her accountable. General Hospital fans are acutely aware that Willow shot Drew Kane not once, but twice, an act of violence that should have resulted in serious prison time. Instead, through a combination of clever legal maneuvering, sympathetic jury members who bought into her carefully crafted victim narrative, and possibly some questionable testimony, Willow was shockingly acquitted of all charges and granted her complete freedom to walk the streets of Port Charles as if nothing had ever happened. This acquittal proved to be a catastrophic mistake for the Port Charles judicial system and, more importantly, for Drew Kane personally. Rather than viewing her freedom as a second chance or feeling grateful for avoiding incarceration, Willow apparently interpreted the verdict as confirmation that she could operate above the law. She took full and calculated advantage of that freedom when she orchestrated her most heinous act yet, catching Drew completely off guard with a syringe filled with a substance that would cause a devastating stroke. The attack was methodical and premeditated, showing that Willow had moved beyond crimes of passion into the realm of cold, calculated revenge. She carefully selected her moment, ensured there would be no witnesses, and struck with the precision of someone who had thought through every detail. Since Willow had been exceedingly careful in her planning and has been maintaining an Academy Award-worthy performance in public, she now presents as nothing more than a distraught, devoted wife who's consumed with concern and worry about her ailing husband's condition. The perfect performance. The reality, however, couldn't be more different from the image Willow projects. Behind closed doors and in the privacy of her own thoughts, Willow knows the truth. She's the architect of Drew's current incapacitated state. She successfully extracted her revenge by leaving Drew unable to function normally, potentially robbing him of his future, his mobility, his independence, and possibly even his ability to communicate. The satisfaction she derives from this outcome while simultaneously playing the role of the concerned wife reveals a level of sociopathy that's truly chilling to contemplate. Jacinda Bracken, the next target with Drew, effectively neutralized and no longer capable of interfering in her plans or exposing her crimes. Willow's calculating mind is likely already identifying her next target. The question isn't whether she'll strike again, but rather who will find themselves in her sights next. And all signs are pointing directly at Jacinda Bracken. Jacinda has unwittingly positioned herself as a potential threat to Willow's maternal territory, and given Willow's track record, that's an extremely dangerous place to be. The threat Jacinda poses isn't intentional or malicious. She's simply a good person who's developing genuine feelings for Michael Corinthos, while also naturally bonding with his children. However, from Willow's twisted perspective, Jacinda represents something far more sinister, a replacement mother figure who could permanently displace her in Wiley and Amelia's lives. Jacinda has been steadily growing closer to Michael in recent weeks, and that relationship inevitably means she'll start playing an increasingly significant role in the children's daily lives, attending school functions, helping with homework, being present for bedtime stories, and all the other small but meaningful moments that define parenthood. The blossoming connection. Wiley, in his innocent and open-hearted way, has already embraced Jacinda's presence in his life. He genuinely enjoys spending time with her, and seems to view her not as a threatening stranger, but as a friend and confidant he can trust. The ease with which Wee has accepted Jacinda speaks volumes about her character and her natural ability to connect with children. But it's also exactly the kind of development that would trigger Willow's paranoia and possessiveness. Michael's reaction to the budding friendship between his son and Jacinda has been impossible to miss. He practically beams with happiness and pride every time he witnesses Wiley and Jacinda interacting together. Michael clearly loves seeing how well they get along, and he's not hiding his pleasure at finding someone who connects so naturally with his children. This visible joy and approval from Michael regarding Jacinda's presence is essentially a giant red flag waving in front of Willow's face, signaling that Jacinda isn't going anywhere and that her importance in this family unit is only going to increase. Willow's miscalculation. In the aftermath of the alibi disaster that briefly created a rift between Michael and Jacinda, Willow might have been secretly counting on that relationship to crumble and die. She may have allowed herself to believe that the controversy and awkwardness surrounding those events would drive a permanent wedge between them, making Jacinda retreat from Michael's life and, by extension, from the children's lives as well. If that was her hope, she's about to be sorely disappointed. The reality is that Michael has demonstrated absolutely no inclination to let Jacinda go despite the complications that have arisen. He's fought to maintain their connection, worked through the difficult conversations, and made it abundantly clear that he values what they have together. Meanwhile, Jacinda certainly isn't complaining about Michael's determination to keep her in his life. She's responded positively to his efforts, showing that she's equally invested in seeing where this relationship might lead. A connection worth fighting for. What's developed between Michael and Jacinda has transcended the superficial attraction of a typical soap opera romance. Jacinda has formed a genuine, deep connection with Michael that took her completely by surprise. She didn't come to Port Charles looking for love, and she certainly didn't expect to find herself falling for Michael Corinthos with all the baggage and complications that come with being part of his world. Yet here she is, and it's becoming increasingly apparent that this bond with Michael has become something quite special and meaningful to her. The depth of feeling between Michael and Jacinda is palpable to everyone around them, and that visibility could lead to some genuinely alarming developments. As Jacinda continues to grow closer to Michael on a romantic level, the mathematical certainty is that she'll simultaneously grow closer to Wiley and Amelia on a familial level. These relationships are inextricably linked, and as one deepens, so will the others. Wedding bells and warning signs. The trajectory of Michael and Jacinda's relationship may have Willow hearing metaphorical wedding bells ringing in her ears, and that sound would fill her with absolute dread. If Michael and Jacinda continue down this path at their current pace, it's not unreasonable to speculate that Jacinda could realistically become Michael's new bride in the not-too-distant future. Marriage would formalize and legitimize Jacinda's role in the children's lives in a way that would be impossible for Willow to ignore or minimize. Here's where Willow's psychology becomes particularly complex and interesting, although all evidence suggests that Willow no longer harbors any kind of romantic feelings or lingering passion for Michael. That emotional detachment doesn't translate into indifference about being replaced in other capacities. The end of romantic love doesn't necessarily mean the end of possessiveness territoriality, or the desire to maintain a specific status and position. The stepmom scenario. If Michael chooses to marry someone else, particularly someone like Jacinda, that woman will automatically and inevitably become Amelia and Wiley's legal stepmother. She'll have parental rights authority over certain decisions, and most importantly, a permanent, legitimate place in the children's daily lives that no one could reasonably challenge. This is precisely the scenario that Willow absolutely cannot and will not tolerate. After enduring such a prolonged and painful separation from her children, a separation that tormented her and left emotional scars that may never fully heal, Willow has become fiercely determined to be the only mother figure present in Wiley and Amelia's lives. She doesn't want to share that role, doesn't want to compete for it, and certainly doesn't want to risk being overshadowed by another woman who might prove to be more stable, more present, or more capable than she is. The threat assessment. From Willow's increasingly unstable perspective, Jacinda Bracken is transformed from a neutral presence into a problem that needs to be eliminated. Jacinda represents an existential threat to Willow's vision of her future with her children. And we've already seen what Willow is willing to do when she perceives someone as threatening her interests or standing in the way of what she wants. The pattern is established, the precedent is set, and Jacinda could very well become the next victim of Willow's violent tendencies. The question that's keeping General Hospital fans awake at night is just how far Willow will go this time. Will she target Jacinda with the same level of violence and premeditation she displayed with Drew? Will Willow actually attempt to permanently remove Jacinda from the equation, potentially even trying to wipe her off the map entirely? These aren't idle speculations, they're genuine possibilities given everything we know about Willow's current mental state and her proven capacity for extreme violence. What's coming next? According to the latest General Hospital spoilers emerging from various sources, Willow definitely has some additional surprising and potentially shocking moves planned in the episodes ahead. The writers seem intent on pushing her character even further into darkness, exploring just how irredeemable she can become before either facing consequences or experiencing some kind of redemption arc. Whatever happens, fans should prepare themselves for more mayhem, more manipulation, and quite possibly more violence as this storyline continues to unfold in increasingly disturbing ways.